Goralska, and I was born in Poland in a Catholic family where I think my mum had a leading role as somebody who was religious person, and she was always behind all religious festivals. My father wasn't really strict about it, but it was my mom who was always cared about Christmas, Easter, going to church. There was no much excuse not to go to church. It was, Sunday coming, we are going to church. And I think it was deeply because it was more tradition that was passed from generation to generation. As she said, her grandparents to her parents to her, and obviously she was doing her duty to pass knowledge and things to me. And I think at that moment I didn't question anything. I was a child, and I had a happy childhood. My parents really did a good job giving me a lovely childhood, happiness. So these all moments, festivals, gathering with families, all bring good memories. And as any other child in Poland, I was Christianed. Then I had my first Holy Communion, then confirmation, as you call it. And yes, I have to admit that I was involved in the religious side of my life. I mean, probably I didn't understand many things because I was just a child. But I was in a choir, chapel choir. And when we had a Holy Communion, I was chosen to read Bible. Also, I was singing, and I enjoyed it. Yes, and I think only when I was in my teenage years I started thinking about all aspects of religion, why and how, because even during these festivals, I don't remember there was this side of our practice where we would sit and read a Bible, or we, in terms of questions like why we do it, or where it comes from, or what is the point, why are we celebrating Christmas, and why do we celebrate Easter. It was just, natural. We do it because we do it. And yes, and I think only when I was teenager, I started to think deeper and deeper. I mean, still, it was, it was just a part of my life. But yes, I think I was always close to God, and I talked to Him. And I like to pray. Obviously, as a child, I don't remember, that I truly enjoyed going to church and being there for 1 hour and, listening all what was said. So only I think in high school, I remember I used to pray because I felt like praying, and then also I said I would like to go to church, not because I have to go, but I just have this need. And I would say, I don't feel like going this Sunday because we have to. I prefer to stay at home, but I still have connection with God, and I still have my relation. And I can go Wednesday, Tuesday. And I remember I enjoyed, going to an empty church, being there for a while, just contemplate. And then when I finished high school in my town, when I was growing up, I moved to Warsaw. I think that was my first encounter with Islam, because during the curriculum we had subject world religions, so we had to cover Islam as well. But obviously, with the negative picture of Islam as it's presented in Poland by media. My attitude was like, okay, we have to cover that. This is my part of of education. I have to do it. I have to pass exams. I have to get the knowledge, and that's it. It was probably like a sponge. I soaked it, and then everything evaporated, or just leaked. I'm the only one child, so I don't know. You can call it privileged, but but I think at some point I wanted to have a company, to play with somebody. But I remember that my parents always found time, for me when we wanted to spend more time with somebody or play. I had other children around, neighbors' children. We used to live in a block of flats, so plenty of children to play with. So I couldn't complain at that time. And I remember, week was week, obviously, school and my parents were going to work, but weekends we spent together. So we were going to Lake District, to my grandparents, and I had a lovely time. We used to gather with family. Yeah, I have lovely memories. We spent much time together. And when summer holidays came, I would be sent probably to my grandparents from one side or to another. So then again, when I was going to my father's family, my grandparents, now I think I appreciate that a lot, because my grandmother used to focus on on good behavior, on morals, or hard work, and I was involved in many things, harvesting, gathering crops, because they lived in a countryside. And I think from my point of view now, I really appreciate, because at that time it was a hard job, but we enjoyed it as kids. Kids will gather, play in the fields, in forests. We could find many ideas what to do and how to spend our time. And then again, when I was going to my mom's parents, my grandparents, there was much to do as well. So yeah, and I think I didn't mention that I was attending a public primary school. It wasn't a religious school, like a Catholic school. It was just a normal school. When from early years, I think we had religious education as well. So yeah, so it was a nice time. I think as a child, because at that time I was still a child, I don't remember much, but I think from my experience, from my memories, it was always there was always a focus on religion, in our society. Church and festivals, and what you should do or what you shouldn't be doing, and I was always thinking that maybe it's just because of the tradition, deep tradition, that was passed through generation. Not really, religious pure aspect of it, but just tradition. And I don't remember really, as a child, I don't remember, if that was the reason, because we were, suppressed or oppressed. But I think that's the reason why I think until today our society is probably not open to new religions and to new nations, new ways of doing things, or beliefs. And I think that's the main reason why still until now people are probably afraid of increasing their knowledge, or just asking questions, or just pondering over why is it like that, and against everything what is being said in TV, just to ask yourself, is that true? Is that right? What they say about Islam, for example, is so yeah. At one side was something exciting. I was going to a new location, and I was about to start a new part of my life. And at the other, because I was always very close to my mother, we had a very close, tight relation. So I think I just put a brave face, and I just went ahead. It wasn't easy, new place, new people, new responsibilities. I guess you would have to fit in some ways, of the new environment and new style of life. But that was the time when, at the same time, I had my freedom. I mean, I could go further, and I could expand my territory. But at the same time, I learned a lot, and that gave me so much to think about life. And so it was a mixture of everything, I think. Yeah, and I think you have to find a way of finding yourself there. You have to just carry on. But as I said, that was the first time when I learned about Islam, and I also had other people in my school that were, close friends of Muslims as well. And because we had wars of religions, I remember part of our education was where lectures where Muslims were invited, and we could basically listen to their stories. We could ask questions. We had our notebooks. We had to prepare our notes and our reflections, and I think that was nice. But still, again, it was something new. I had to learn about it. It was really nice to get to know other cultures, other religions, but I think it didn't change anything at that time. It was just okay. I was studying there. I spent almost 5 years, and I never planned to come to London. It never, it was never my plan to come here anyway. It wasn't the place of my interest. But I think it's because I met my husband, and that's something that that was the main reason why I'm here now. I guess you can't plan many things in your life. It just happens as it happens. Okay, I came to London because of my husband mainly. We met in Slovakia, and I think the things just happened as it happened. And as I said, I never planned to come to London, but it's when you meet somebody, and it's you can't control some things in your life. When I came to London, as I said, I didn't plan to be here, to live here. It was different life. And it dawned on me when responsibilities of a couple came together, family, and you are not a student anymore. You don't have you are not there. You can't do things as you used to do. But then again, now I think it was a way of blessing for me. There are some things that are written there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows exactly what your life is going to look like, and I think that was just simply meant to happen. And it wasn't easy, of course, because first of all, he's an Arab and he's a Muslim, and people are still in Poland. They are still not tolerant. They are not open. It's fine as long as okay. Why didn't you choose somebody from Poland? Why not? Why? But I say you can't happen. You just can't plan things. It happens, and I think that was the first kind of a barrier. My family, my parents, they have to go through, to accept my husband the way he is, where he's from. He's a Muslim, and I remember that my parents at that time weren't really worried that I might become a Muslim, because I myself, with all we've been fed with, through medias and all information and everything that has been said about Islam in mostly negative way, I remember myself thinking and saying in my head, no way, never, ever, never. That is not an option. But then when I heard, people saying, they say, but he's Muslim, you are Christian, there are some things you have to compromise probably on. You have to somehow, come to an agreement, because obviously he, being a Muslim, he's eating halal. Yeah. You are not. They don't drink alcohol, and you might want. So because I'm easygoing person, I think I said, okay, yes, it's not a problem. I don't have to bring alcohol home. There are halal batches everywhere around. I will, buy, will eat. But then when I was going to Poland for summer holidays, obviously, I continued the way I used to live. And yes, it's been it's been 8 years. It took me 8 years to slowly get to know Islam and to start being interested in this religion. And of course, there was a Quran at home, which was there, and I never probably bothered looking inside. It was there because it was there. But I think being in London, and it's such a mixture of cultures and religions. Many times I came across Muslims and they wanted to talk to me, and I asked questions, and and friends of my husband as well. So I remember the first time when I started thinking, oh, it would be nice to go to mosque to see how it is. I've never been there. And I knew that when I was studying in Warsaw, there was an Islamic center. And some of my friends who were studying, I think, at the Warsaw University, they were going there because they had to cover, religious as well. So yes, I thought it would be nice. But I think it was always, it was always my intention, and it, always ended up with just intention. And then having, kids and busy life and all other responsibilities. And I remember my husband would go and buy books and would bring them, and would bring some DVDs, CDs. But I think it was just it was just that. I would never probably look in the books. I would never, have an intention to watch DVD because I was busy with the other things. But I think slowly. And one more thing which is amazing when I think about it now is when my husband would play Quran in his car at home. I wouldn't stand it at the beginning. It was just annoying for me. I couldn't listen to it. I didn't understand. Firstly, I didn't understand it, and the way it was recited, it annoyed me. Truly annoyed me. And I always said, please, if you want to listen, just volume down, because I don't want to listen to it. But mashallah, through all these times when he played the Quran, I was, please calm it down, volume down. I don't want. He would, persevere, and finally I didn't mind anymore. It felt amazing, actually. It felt amazing. It was so, I felt such a serenity and, such a, peace in me, to the point that I would fall asleep, really. So it was amazing. And I think that's when I knew that something is, changing and happening. It was a new chapter in my life. And you just can't prepare yourself for that because it's something, unknown. You have to just go there and, start and see and feel how it is. And obviously my mom would say, have a rest, because then when you become a mother, you have to forget about yourself completely. The children will come first, and it's going to be hard. It's the hardest job in the whole world, being a mother. Yes, and I think that period of my time showed me how much my mom did to me, how much she gave me and what she did to me, and how much I owe her. And now, even from my point of view as being Muslim, I know that I won't be able to repay her, even a % of what she did. So I know that it is important, and obviously Islam says that there's a paradise at your mother's feet. So yes, and it's hard. It's hard when you want to probably join all the things together, being working and being a mom and doing other things. So I think because woman naturally knows how to look after their kids, I think it's a good place for her to be, to be there for children and to be for family. Because when you compromise and you split things, things start to slip and go astray, and I think it's important to be there for your kids all the time. My mom, she didn't have a choice. She had to work, and she had to work, and she had to cook, and she had to clean, and she had to look after me, and she still had to find a time, to be with me, and it's amazing, that she did all of that, and yes, and now I know how special she is to me. So yes, but still, again, it is not easy, and I think when I became Muslim, I started with reading about the role of woman in Islam position, as a woman, as a daughter, as a wife, and that helps a lot, because I know what is my role, I know what I can do, I know how far I can go, and it teaches me, Islam teaches me how to deal with, with the daily life, with daily problems. It asks me to be patient, to be, wise, to treat my children the way they deserve to be treated, to be understanding, and to show them how, how to live and how to grow up, because even before converting, I always wanted my daughters to grow up as, as decent, as respected, wise woman. I always wanted that for them. I think at that time I didn't really think about it. Okay, they have Muslim names, but I'm still here, I'm Christian, and at that time, apart from the fact that I wanted to, to know the way, to know morals, to know, what is good, what is right, and what is wrong, and how to treat other people, I still thought that, why not? They have to be, liberated. They have to, know the life, life, and they have to, go through what I went through. But now I think there are some aspects that they don't really, they don't have to go through, because life, being a Muslim, life is beautiful as it is, without, all the things that are there, offered to people around. So yes, so at that time I didn't think, and maybe I had some worries that, oh, my husband is Muslim, and listen to other, mothers, Muslim mothers, he will, eventually he will do anything for them to be Muslims. But now I know why, because this is the way. This is the way. Now, obviously, I don't see any other way. I want them to be Muslims, because because I think Islam is the religion that, if you really embrace it, I think it can bring the best out of you. So, I don't know. I think I had, I had the role of the woman in my head was the role that you probably come across in, in Western societies. I'm not saying it's bad, every aspect of that is bad, because obviously they're fantastic women, whether they are Muslims or not. But for me, being liberated before I converted meant, you go and study, have fun, be as any other teenager, still, knowing your role and your position in your life, still, maintaining, everything, basically having, moral standards, knowing what is good, what is right. I mean, I was always a sensitive person, and I think I was always a person who likes to see justice. I didn't like people treating other people, in a bad way, or I didn't like kids at school bullying other kids. I always had this, this in my heart. This is not right. This is not how it is. You should treat people with respect, and good deeds should be, rewarded. Bad deeds should be punished. So I think I had this, I had this role in my head, what and how. But still, at that time, I think Islam, for me, and the woman, in Islam, she was for me oppressed, basically due to, lack of knowledge, because I didn't know how it is and what it is. Only when I started studying about women in Islam, Only then, my eyes opened, and I said, listen, I told myself, listen, it's not how we see it. It's not how, what we hear about. Everything that is presented in Poland, its majority of, of programs and news and things about Islam is negative. Only now, slowly and slowly, because of, bigger number of Muslims growing in Poland, only now you have, positive messages coming in. But at that time, everything was like negative. No woman is oppressed. You have no rights. You can't go. You can't do anything. You can't work. You just have to sit at home doing nothing. What is this life? This is not the life you would like to have. And when I studied about women in Islam, it opened my eyes completely. It's not like that. I mean, you still can go and study. You still can work. You still can do many things, being a photographer, having your passion, as long as you keep in boundaries, obviously. Something with me, one of the stories about Sayyidah Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, to share with others, to show what a good example they were to follow and to look up to, and I think it's a good thing to research and to read stories and biographies of people of Ahlul Bayt to have a general idea. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, "Fatima is part of me. Whoever harms her harms me." He has also said, "Fatima is part of me. Whoever disappoints her disappoints me." In these traditions, the statement that Fatima is part of me has an in-depth meaning. It shows that Fatima alayhi salam is not only the daughter of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. No wonder that where the Holy Prophet declared Fatima as part of himself, he also announced, "Verily, my daughter Fatima is the leader of the women of the worlds." Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, by virtue of being devout Rasul, part of the Holy Prophet, and Sayyidatu Nisa'il Alamin, leader of the women of the worlds, is an excellent role model, particularly for the Muslim woman. With regard to knowledge, Islam teaches us three things: learn, apply, and teach others. In the life of Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, we find that she gave importance to all these three stages of knowledge. One day the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to the house of his beloved daughter. She alayhi salam asked him a number of questions on religious rights. Among them was a question regarding a wife's duty towards her husband. One of the many things that the Holy Prophet told her was, "O Fatima, a woman who demands things which are outside the means of her husband is removed from the pale of divine grace." After her marriage to Ali alayhi salam, we'll find that Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam never asked or demanded anything from her husband, lest he cannot afford and is embarrassed to say so. One day Imam Ali alayhi salam insisted that his wife ask him for something. After much insistence, she alayhi salam agreed and asked for a pomegranate. As Imam Ali bought one from the market and was walking towards home, his eyes fell upon a poor man who was ill. He asked the man what he wanted, and the man expressed his desire to eat pomegranate. Without hesitation, Imam alayhi salam gave away the pomegranate he had bought for his wife. Now, as he walked towards his home, Imam felt guilty and thought that this was the first time ever Fatima alayhi salam had asked for a pomegranate, and I have been unable to fulfill her wish. Although he was certain that Fatima would be happy to know that the pomegranate was given away in a good cause, nevertheless, he still felt guilty. Meanwhile, Jibril came to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with a tray of pomegranates from the paradise and informed him as to what happened. The Holy Prophet gave the tray to Salman and asked him to deliver it to Fatima before Ali reached home. Fatima alayhi salam asked, "O Salman, where has this tray come from?" Salman said, "O daughter of the Prophet, you express your desire for a pomegranate from Ali." He bought it and gave it to poor beggar. For his sincere action, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent this tray from the paradise so that your wish is fulfilled, and Ali is also saved from any embarrassment. Imam Ali arrived home with his head down due to guilt. As soon as he entered, he said, "Oh Fatima, what is the smell of pomegranates I feel?" She said, "Oh Ali, these pomegranates are what you sent. You gave away one to a beggar, and in return Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent them from paradise." This is what I call learning and applying knowledge. And this is what I personally call a perfect example how to apply all teachings and duties we as a Muslims. Yes, I think it was the time when I was studying in Warsaw when I noticed this trend. Basically, girls trying to be, apart from gaining knowledge, trying to be attractive, and and the pressure on girls and women, especially in bigger cities. Children coming from all around the country, they get into Warsaw, they get into capitals or whatever, big cities, either it's Poland or another country, and they see this way of life. You have to be this and you have to be that. And I think at that point I saw the pressure on girls and women. You have to look good to get a job. You have to look good to get this. You have to look good to go through. It's all about look, these days. And I was asking, what about, all people who, we should look the way we look because we were created that way, and we should appreciate the way we look, we are. So what's the point of, forcing yourself into something that you don't necessarily find yourself comfortable with, but just for the sake of, just for the sake of, because everyone else is doing this. So I thought, well, I think it's too much, to be somebody else, not yourself, because this is how it is. And I was thinking, yes, what about my experience? What about my knowledge? What about other skills? That doesn't count anymore. I still have to, apart from them, I still have to look good and, be attractive. And I think that was the something that struck me when I was doing research about women in Islam, that what should be attractive about woman is her personality, her herself, her knowledge, her skills, not the way she looks like, not the way she dresses. It's just, all the beauty comes from inside, and the beauty from inside makes you beautiful the way you are. And I think that's something that I would call liberated, because I don't have to be somebody else. I don't have to, put tons of makeup or, have to go spend hours in shops to, lunch through, racks with different clothes and thinking what I should be, wearing today, what, how I look like, or maybe this is not wrong, this is not right. So I think, yes, I can focus on myself, basically. I can be myself, and I can appreciate myself the way I am. Now when I think about my husband and why I converted, I think it's amazing how patient he was, because he never put a pressure on me, never. Yes, he would bring books, he would bring movies and CDs, and sometimes he would talk with me about some issues, but he never. No, I never felt pressure. And when I converted, I did it for myself. It was my decision 100%. And now when I think about his patience, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him for all efforts he did throughout all these years, and perseverance he had. Just waiting and being patient. And when I converted, I did it myself. I woke up one morning, and after researching, and I was thinking the day before in the evening, I was thinking whether to do it or not to do it. But then I woke up in the morning and I said, well, if something happens to me the next day or even today and I die,
I would really like to die a Muslim, because you start your life anew. It's like being born. It's like starting afresh, with a blank card, and then you can learn, and you can try to do your best. So you have good deeds recorded. Try to avoid bad things. Follow teachings of Islam. And I woke up that morning and I said, yes, I will do it today. I was on my own with my daughters. I said Shahada, and yes, and I became a Muslim, and I was so happy. The feeling was amazing. It was. I felt like I could carry mountains from place to place. It's something probably you can't describe. You just can feel. So yeah, I didn't have any pressure on me whatsoever, and I did it because I wanted. I was, with a full awareness. I think also what was really nice and very interesting, and maybe not only for people who are interested in becoming a Muslim, is the science in Quran. I mean, I couldn't believe all the facts you can find actually in Quran, and all science, including biology, including botany, geography, and astronomy. You can all find it in Quran, and it's amazing because all these facts, all this information, were actually discovered recently, with months, if not years, of research using modern technology that wasn't available at the time when Quran was sent. So I think it's another thing that I think takes you aback, and and shows you that yeah, it has to be a true word from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when I started my research about Islam, it was just general questions I had, and whenever I went to website and I grabbed the book, I didn't come across anything like there are, certain paths or certain schools of thought that, I have to choose. So basically I thought, okay, I am becoming Muslim and I am Muslim, and that's it. So I didn't have anything in my mind, who to follow or, who to look up to. And my husband asked me, what path do I want to walk? What school of thought do I want to choose? And I didn't have an idea of what he's talking about. And then he told me about schools of thought. There is a Sunni path, there is a Shia path, there is, Ahlul Bayt school. And what was really nice about him as well, that he said, listen, it's your choice. You decided to become a Muslim, and it's your choice what school of thought you are choosing. But as long as it makes sense to you, and as long as you follow what feels logical to you, not you follow because others follow, and not you follow the school because this is the popular one or it's majority. You choose what you feel in your heart is right. So I started reading more and more. I started comparing, and I chose Ahlul Bayt school of thought because it makes sense for me, and then coming to hadith as well, where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that I'm leaving you two weighty things, which is hadith of two weighty things. I'm leaving behind me, I'm leaving two weighty things, and if you adhere to them, you will not go astray. So, which is Quran and Ahlul Bayt, the household of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And most of the versions I came across, they translate as Quran and Ahlul Bayt, and I think only one says translates as Sunnah. But still, doing research and reading and using your logic, it's still okay. We can call it Sunnah because actually Ahlul Bayt, with all their life and the way of living and style of living and being so selfless and so amazing and so beautiful in sense to preserve the true message of Islam, they are actually Sunnah. They are people who I think I should look up to. so yeah, so I, and you know, and the more I read, because there's, you know, the more I read, I find myself, you know, knowing less. So I guess it's, you know, it's the long, lifelong process, you know, to increase your knowledge. And probably, you know, when we die, we will still, you know, lack of, you know, of many things. But I think the more I learn, the more I'm convinced that I'm walking, you know, the right path. And and yes, that was my choice. After reading the story about teaching others and the example of Sayyida Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, I thought it would be nice to say a big thank you and Jazakallah khair to one of the sisters who helped me a lot. Hassan, thank you so much for guiding me, and as Fatima al-Zahra, answering all my questions, whether small or stupid or difficult or not, whether making sense or not, for being for me always there and guiding me and supporting. Thank you again. If I had to convert again, if I would go back again to this point in time, I think I would do it again. I wouldn't even hesitate. Obviously there are many changes, and you have to change your lifestyle. That comes with it. But what my advice is to take things slowly, not to rush. I think many of us, when we convert, I think we want, you know, from day one, we want to be, you know, good. We want to do the best, you know, the way possible. We want to know everything, and I think it's not like that. I think the slowly the better, because the way we take it, we can both learn and appreciate it. But if we hurry up, I think we might find ourselves, you know, it's too fast, it's too much, you know, this is not the way I expected, this is not what I wanted. Obviously there are some changes, and sometimes I think, oh, it would be better if I converted before my daughters were born, but I think this is, you know, this is how it meant to be. I think now them knowing, you know, both kind of lifestyles, they will have this, I think, plus to compare and to choose. You know, maybe not now because they are children, but then they will go back and they will, you know, see things, and they will be able to compare things. You know, we saw that, we took part in that, and you know, that was the lifestyle, and this is the lifestyle, and you know, we know what we are talking about. After I converted in July, I decided I would go to Poland for Christmas, because my mom didn't want to talk to me over telephone, and I felt really heartbroken. I mean, we were very close, always very close, and she helped me a lot. She's an amazing woman, and I decided I would go, you know, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with the strength I have, you know, with the confidence, you know, with the positive attitude, I will go. And I went, and it was, I think, the hardest thing I've done in my life. I think it was so hard. Now when I come back, when I think about it, sometimes I ask myself, how did I do this? How, you know, how I managed to do it? Because when I was going in hijab. The day I converted, I put hijab on. I mean, scarf, and obviously hijab, you know, the way I thought at that time was, you know, was comfortable for me. The clothes I put, that was my hijab. And then when I was going to Poland in December for Christmas, I put the scarf and I put hijab, and I said, yes, I'm going this way, you know, because that's what I've chosen, and I'm not going to compromise. I don't know, maybe it's a harsh approach, and some people, they, you know, may do it different way, you know, just to compromise, you know, take it slowly, you know, go to Poland, you know, just leave it behind, you know. I said I will go, you know, I will go full ahead. So I went. It wasn't easy. I mean, the eyes on you, you know, from people around, you know, this tension and this feeling, and of course the reaction of my parents. It wasn't, you know, the nicest thing in the world. But I think I wanted to show that, you know, this is my decision. I'm a grown-up person, and I know what I'm doing, and nobody forced me. Regardless of what they think, nobody forced me. It's my decision, and the only thing that is changing is that I'm becoming better. I'm trying to be better mother, better person, you know. Yes, because Islam teaches us, you know, to have respect to other people, you know, to regardless of the religion, regardless of you know where they come from, of you know of nationality, you have to respect people. And even Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, you know, if somebody is not your brother or sister in faith, he's still your brother, and you know, in a humanity. So you have to treat everybody the way you would like to be treated. So there's so much beauty. So you know, it comes, I think, converting and becoming a Muslim comes, you know, it brings everything all together. So after converting and becoming a Muslim, I see world differently and people differently. I always believed in, you know, in justice, and you know, good should be rewarded, bad should be punished. And you know, these days in this world, it's not as it should be. It's not happening, and that's another thing that, you know, Islam tells you that don't worry, because if you do good, you'll be rewarded for goodness. If you do bad, you'll be punished. So regardless of what's happening around you, you should carry on with your way of living. And obviously you should encourage people to do good things, and you should forbid bad things from happening. You know, I converted only 2 years ago. It's little, and I still research and I still read whenever I have time. But reading biographies of these people, amazing, you know, personalities, I think there is so much to learn from them. I feel without anyone telling me how to feel, I feel so much respect to her, alayhi salam, and I feel so much love, and I think she is a perfect example of how to be a Muslim woman. You know, at least try, because I don't think I will be ever, you know, able to reach her level, but at least, you know, to learn and try and implement her teachings and her way in my personal life.
With regard to teaching others, Allama Muhammad Baqir al-Majlisi has narrated in Bihar al-Anwar that one day a lady came to Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam and said, "I have an old weak mother who has some problems related to her salah prayers. She sent me to ask you some questions about them." Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam asked her to put the questions to her. The number of questions, one after another, reached 10, and Sayyidah answered all of them patiently. Eventually the lady said, "O daughter of the Prophet, I do not wish to trouble you and put you to further inconvenience." Thereupon Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam said, "Come to me and ask me what you know not. Does a person who has been hired on wages of 1,000 dinars to carry a heavy thing from ground to rooftop ever feel tired?" The woman said, "No." In other words, however tiring a work may be, if the reward is very good, one may not feel tedious and continue to work harder. Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam said, "Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hired me, and my wage for answering each question is equal to pearls filled between the earth and the sky. Therefore, it does not benefit me to exhibit any exhaustion." From this incident, we learn 3 things. One is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has charged Fatima alayhi salam by virtue of being bid'atu Rasul, part of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, with the responsibility of guiding Muslim women and solving their problems. 2 is that Muslim women have been encouraged to ask and learn what they know not of the Islamic laws. And 3 is that those women who have been blessed with knowledge must put efforts in imparting the same to other women.